once you start your career in a particular domain, be it engineering, be it civil services or anything, it's not an easy task for one to change their career and shift entirely to a different domain. Because once you spend a couple of years in a particular career domain, you get adapted to it. However, if you have dreams and aspirations which prompts you to take up that career choice, that difficult path, then one has to take that. So today our guest is a software engineer who served in the IT industry for a couple of years. Then he started to listen to his own heart. Now he's preparing for civil services and is an aspirant. So today in this episode we have talked about his journey so far and how he made this decision of switching to civil services preparation and becoming an aspirant. Because it's not an easy, because a lot of pressure builds up once you take that decision. Pressure from family, pressure from friends, pressure from social people or relatives. So we have talked about how he has dealt with all this. We have also talked about the current scenario where the syllabus of NCERT is being changed and a lot of things are being excluded from the actual curriculum, and how it will affect or it may impact the future generation or kids who are going to study all those, and was it necessary or was it an ideological shift. All those we have discussed in this episode. So please welcome Mr. Dimitra. And in this discussion we had a heart-to-heart conversation on various topics. So do let me know in the comment section what you think of this entire episode. If you like the content, please like, share and subscribe. Share among your friends and colleagues, relatives, and let me know what you think of it. Thank you. Enjoy the podcast. Thanks, Dimitra, for joining. So first of all, tell me about your career journey so far and what are you up to nowadays?
Thank you so much, Manoj. It's been a pleasure with you since from college to now. Okay, I was working in the same company that you are still working in right now. Yeah. So I was born and brought up here in Agartala itself, and did my schooling from Holy Cross and then Hindi school. And post that, I had a corporate stint after passing out from NIT Agartala, same branch as you. Computer science engineering, and it took some time. The corporate had a really big impact on me, and after that, right now I am pursuing my so to say, I was exploring my curiosity, but right now I'm full-time pursuing my civil service aspirations. So I'm so to say an unemployed full-time civil service aspirant.
Okay, you have how many years you worked in corporate?
It was roughly 3 years, 7 months, like 16 days or so.
Okay, so now suddenly what came in your mind that, okay, now I should leave this maybe well-paying job and switch to hard work in life and pursue for civil service?
Actually, there is no, it's a multifold aspect, if you say. So the first up, obviously the first thing that comes to your mind is that you're getting a paycheck regularly at the end of the month. Yeah, and I was posted in Mumbai, so to say, and all the glamour around me. And it's kind of, they say this phrase in Marathi or Hindi, you can say that आंखें चौंध जाती है इतना कुछ जगमग रहता है मुंबई में. So yeah, there is a multifold answer. First up, yes, there is an aspect of money that was playing on my mind. But overall, if I can summarize it in 2 words, was that the job life satisfaction was obviously a big factor. Okay, I was very much deprived and I was drained compared to, like, I was at the end of the couple of years where we had a bond. Basically the company that I was working in, it had a bond of couple of years. So after that I was तब तक यही दिमाग में था, कम से कम bond खत्म कर लो, so there is no financial liability. And after that, the first 6 months was like, what am I doing here? The kind of aspirations that I had as a student, because we have done projects in college, and my project involved a very tech savvy Android application, and I could see the amount of contribution that I was doing. It was tangible, I could feel it. But here it was nothing like that. There is a code. I was working in a team where the code itself was like 8 lakh, 9 lakh lines of code, and I was just contributing as just a meager amount. So I couldn't feel the difference that I was making. Obviously, it had some difference, but to my mind, it was not getting the kind of difference that I wanted it to be. The second thing was obviously recognition. I was not getting that amount of recognition that I think I was deserving. And the third thing was obviously there was a parental angle, because in 2019 my dad had faced some health issues, and due to which I had to reconsider my way of life, and that was a huge turning factor when I look back at things now, when I introspect. So these are the few challenges that I actually was facing, and one fine day, after all the introspection was done, and I'll tell you when it happened. It was absolutely the pandemic. When I was sharing this room with three of my friends. All of them were from NIT Agartala. One guy was working in the same company, and the other guy was doing his startup. Startup failed, but he was working as a freelancer. He was doing his website development with PHP and C# and all those things, and he was living with us. Now, as pandemic started, both of these guys left, and I was there alone, all alone. And I was there, and I had immense amount of time to introspect. And finally, I came to a decision that it's time. It's now or never. I'm at that stage of life where I can take a risk. Otherwise, it will be a life full of regret. And that's it.
So you went into a phase like risk hai to ishq hai.
It was kind of like that, but at the same time that when I spoke to my manager also, she was also quite helping that देखो अभी तुम्हारे पास उम्र है, तुम गलती अगर कर भी लो तो वापस आ सकते हो. अगर 2-3 साल बाद अगर करते हो, and then you might get married, you might have a aspect of taking care of the family, taking care of a child. It would not be possible. So you think about it, and then if you feel like it, so definitely if you have that inner calling, जो gut feeling है, if you have that, why not take the jump? Right.
So the one thing comes into my mind, right, whenever we plan for such big decision, right, like from the time I put my paper and after I serve the notice period, after that month I'll not get salary, so that running money will not be there. So how you dealt with that idea and that thought?
Yes. Financial security was definitely a impending sort of a time ticking bomb. Savings किया है तो एक ना एक दिन तो वो खत्म हो ही जाएगा. But luckily I had the sort of plan B that you call it, that I had saved up my money, and obviously the thing was that the amount of money would be definitely less. But the thing was that I had set up my base over here during the pandemic. After I put up my paper, I requested my manager, can I get back to home? So I went back to home, and I had 3 months. My notice period was 90 days. So in the first 45 days, I explored my options, because I belong to Northeast. There are not many opportunities over here. But luckily, my neighbors really helped me at that time. I'll tell you how. The guy was in class 8 and he required help. So I told him कि कुछ नहीं होता है तो पढ़ाई लेंगे, क्योंकि ये सब पढ़ाई चालू किया. So side by side I was doing tuition. So it was like 50% of my income basically made. But that was during the pandemic. After a while, I think we basically shifted towards other things. But I think that gave me a sense of security कि हाँ कुछ कर सकते हैं इसमें. So that was basically the plan B that I had. Obviously, the amount of money reduced drastically, but since I had told my parents that they also supported me, because without parental support, I don't think it would be possible. Because drastically, they have seen their son working so hard in their 12th, taking up science, then giving JEE mains, then going to NIT, studying so hard, then getting into a dream job. Obviously, not the package was not the dream, but it was the aspiration of a coder. But that meant a lot. And then when I told them, obviously it took some time convincing. I'm still convincing them as of now, because so as an aspirant, it's always a sense of insecurity always is looming around. But I think their support meant a lot. And obviously the financial insecurity is there till date, but it was not as if that I was not prepared for it. I was well prepared. I had done my research that yes, these are the things I have to look into.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's that.
Yeah. So how was your corporate stint? Like some stories or memories that you have, or something that learning that you will carry forward lifelong, like good learnings, not the bad ones.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, corporate was something that hit me like a rock, because you are my senior. I had some brief chat about you and Nirupanda. I remember very
Yeah.
vaguely. I remember that what was the this thing. So first time I landed in Chennai, it was a very much of a culture shock, because when I this was my first experience in any sort of office, sort to say, and corporate career is obviously different from the kind of offices that we see in our state. So yeah, it was a kind of a the first time I still remember the first time I was posted in Mumbai after my Chennai training period. I was selected out of the many people to go into a place called Govandi from Goregaon, and that was like 60 kilometers to and fro journey meant 120 kilometers. I had to change three trains. I had to go there, learn this thing, and I had to come back. And I remember very vividly, after 3 months when I came back, I saw my fellow trainees. They had well adjusted to their teams. They knew each and every nook and cranny of the office, whereas I was there, and my manager was like, तुम कौन हो, मैंने तो तुम्हें देखा नहीं. I was like, अरे मैडम, मैं 3 महीने पहले इधर ज्वाइन कर चुका था, लेकिन मेरा ट्रेनिंग था, इसलिए मैं नहीं आ पाया. So then it took some time to get adjusted. And yeah, one of the most funny incidents was, since I was a new joinee, they gave me some trivial task. I'll not get into the tech details. It was like of a JSON this thing, and I had to check whether the JSON file was correct or not. And yeah, my team members, I remember 4 5 of us were there, all male, and we used to eat our lunch together and everything. We used to bond, and they used to give me some notes in order to get this thing done. But none of them told me that there is a tool. You can just feed the data in this tool and you can get it. These guys, they were picking the mickey out of me, and they were bullying me, so to say, which I found out later कि इसको कुछ बताते नहीं है, देखते हैं इससे क्या होता है कि नहीं. What should have taken just a few minutes, it took me the entire day, because I was doing manual labor. Then my manager comes and tell me, Dimitra, आज क्या किया. मैंने बताया कि ये सब किया. तो उसने बोला, अरे भाई, इसका तो टूल है, तुमको किसी ने बताया नहीं. सो दैट टाइम आई रियलाइज कि हाँ, टीम में ऐसा भी करते हैं लोग. And I eventually confronted them, like, and they were like, अरे हाँ, हम तो मजाक कर रहे थे, तेरे को पूछना था. So it was like a good team bonding experience. Yeah, and especially coming from such a geographically alienated part of the country, it took some exposure shock कि हाँ, लोग इतना भी कर रहे हैं, मल्टीटास्किंग कर रहे हैं, लोग इतने दूर दूर से आते हैं, नो कंप्लेंट्स, एंड हियर वी आर टेकिंग अ rickshaw from Bhubaneswar to Kamanchogni and complaining, and these guys are coming from 80 90 kilometers away and full
Right.
of energy, full of enthusiasm, ready to work. And it was like crazy. Yeah, so these are the learnings that I'll always take: the kind of team bonding, the kind of not creeping about when the thing is at your back, and lastly, more importantly, when things go wrong and things go haywire. Obviously, I was working in delivery and coding on that, not to panic. Yes, that was the
Yes.
biggest experience that I take, that not to panic even when things go really really bad. You have to calm yourself, compose down, coordinate, delegate all the work, and speak with the hierarchy, and the amount of cooperation that is there. I don't think I have seen such a well-oiled machinery from the upper authority to the down
Level.
basically the ground workers, where we are the first responders in
Right.
case anything goes haywire. So yeah, it was a lovely experience. I thoroughly enjoyed, despite all the hindrances, obstacles, which were very less in number, but I really enjoyed and got to learn so many things that I'll carry on throughout my life.
Right. So now, as you mentioned, during COVID, you were staying with your friends, like one who was working in the same company and two were working startups. Apart from those friends, you have many other friends as well, right? So now that you are an aspirant who is trying for civil service in various sectors, you see your friends around you getting married or getting promotion, moving ahead in career. So how do you deal with those pressure? Because you will see pressure from your family, pressure from friends, pressure from your social surroundings, relatives mainly. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's a very, very, valid question. I think everybody, including the people, those who did not get jobs, I was one of the lucky ones who got the job, but there are people who did not even clear the campusing. And luckily for me, the thing was that I was in touch with them. So I knew the kind of pressures pressure system that was there, and the surroundings, whatever the things that they were facing. So I was well aware that these are the kind of things that will come to me once I quit. So definitely the first part was to get adjusted, speak to some seniors. I saw your brilliant podcast with Abhijit Majumdar. He's at TCS now. So I had the privilege of, I think you guys were in the same batch. So I got in touch with him. So he told me the basic steps, that since you are quitting, these are the things that you. So I think the guidance from your seniors definitely helps a lot, and the kind of the confidence boost that I got from my fellow batchmate who's now on, who cracked the civil service. I think his name is Manos Mura Singh, and he cracked in 2019. So he basically guided me that since you will be quitting, these are the kind of pressures that you're also going to face. So prepare according to that. It was, and I say this again because I had a lot of ample time in COVID to introspect, to think about it. It was not an impulsive decision that कल को आए और इतना job छोड़ दिया और चलो अभी पढ़ाई करने लगते हैं. It is a very risky decision because I have yet not cracked the exam. So I'm still going through this. And yes, obviously your friends are getting married. They've gotten much higher packages. The kind of packages that I joined in, they are getting 4 times that of them. And I'm really happy for them because they've worked hard. They are definitely deserving. They got married. They're marrying their love of their life. But the thing is that I chose this life on my own. The decision was mine to make. I was not forced into it. And I had this gut feeling that if I don't make it, if I make it or not, that is all different story altogether. But I don't wanted that life of regret कि हाँ काश वो कर लिया होता तो आज life different थी. I spoke about the job life satisfaction. I was my bank balance was getting increased, but I did not get the peace of mind that was deserving. So obviously there are two choices that one gets, and I took the risk. I took the chance that चलो करते हैं यार, देखा जाएगा बाद में क्या होता है कि नहीं होता है. But I took the decision calculatively. I think I'm progressing towards it. बाकी तो उसके ऊपर
वाला. Yes, right. So since you're mentioning all this now, so I'm thinking of a movie, Tamasha. So where you
definitely.
So how much you are inspired by that? Like, did it influence at any
definitely, level? Yes, definitely it resonated. And I'll tell you a small story which I was seeing. I think it was like 10 years or 8 years back. I think Imtiaz Ali, the director, he gave a reaction when Tamasha flopped. Some critic asked him कि आपको बुरा नहीं लग रहा है. Well, then he replied that तमाशा मूवी समझने के लिए आपको 5 साल 6 साल की जरूरत नहीं, आपको 10 साल लगेंगे समझने के लिए. Because the kind of magic it invoked inside the theater. I also did not feel that हमको भी लगा था कि यार ये क्या बकवास मूवी है, बंदे के पास जॉब था छोड़ दिया, फिर he started doing plays and all. And now when I take a look back, it is exactly the kind of thing that I was also facing कि यार सुबह उठो, नहाओ धो, and you go to the job and you do this decision and you are getting a paycheck that is at the end of your month, your life is sorted. But the thing is that devoid, the happiness was devoid, the mental peace was not there, the kind of satisfaction that you deserve is not there. I spoke with one of my managers. I still remember this conversation. It was 2 o'clock at the night. We were waiting because some delivery got disoriented and something of that sort. Code phat gaya. That is the kind of IT term that we use. Code phat gaya. And we were staying and we were chatting with him, and he was the head of this entire floor. And he told me, देखो आपका उम्र बहुत कम है, मेरा पैकेज XYZ पैकेज है, लेकिन मैं जब सुबह उठता हूँ ना, मेरे बच्चे सोए हुए रहते. Because he was coming from far, and he used to travel by train. He used to come and he did his time in office, and by the time he returned, he saw his kids asleep. So he was narrating to me this story that when I leave my home in the morning, his kids were asleep, and when he came back home, his kids were asleep. And bells started ringing in my ears that what kind of man he is. He's narrating this story, and he's missing the childhood of his children.
Own child,
and then and then he's saying that because obviously childhood अपने को मतलब अपना जब मिस होता है, we regret it so much, and he's missing the childhood of his children. And bell started ringing in my ears कि दिमित्र क्या कर रहा है तू, इस बंदे के साथ तू बैठा है. And he seemed happy, and I was not happy also. The kind of package that he earned. And he told me that then when I asked him कि आप enjoy कैसे करते हो फिर life को, then he told me I take 2 world vacations every year with my family. And then I asked him कि आप content हो इसमें. हाँ यार मैं खुश हूँ क्योंकि मैं जो काम करता हूँ मैं एंजॉय करता हूँ, and that stuck with me, and that triggered actually. And just like as you said in that Tamasha movie, and that breakdown or that tear, that
Yes.
breakdown did not happen, but the trigger actually, when the loneliness happened, it triggered me that yaar मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, this guy is happy doing what he is doing, I'm not even that happy, so it's time
Correct.
to make or break.
Right. Right. So now both of us are from NIT Agartala, right? So I joined 2 years before you, and you joined 2 years after me. So we might have, I mean, 2 years gap of memories that we have, but there will be 2 years coinciding for both of us. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
so what is your memory, like vivid memory that you have of NIT Agartala, apart from the studies? Obviously, studies common for all.
Yeah. Obviously, the first year, I don't think many of us have that kind of memories because we're all alienated from our seniors, and I don't have that many memories at the first year. The second year upgrade, I got to give exam with you guys. And I
Yes.
remember the very first day, and I think she appeared in your podcast, her Chumki Acharya. I
Yeah.
gave the
Yeah.
exam with her, Nirupamda and you. And Nirupamda was constantly cheating from her. That was the first anecdote that I can remember. That yes, हाँ seniors भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं
No,
because we used to stay
I'm
far.
going to show this to Nirupam.
Ah, you can show this. If he disagrees, then he's a liar because I saw that. And yeah, there was Pratham Kaur, yeah, one of your batchmates as well.
Yes. Yes.
And I remember of you, four of you guys. I think you had this amazing bond because we used to stay far from. I think you guys were in the final year, I guess, fourth year, and I was in the second year. So I used to
Yeah.
remain aloof and alone. कि यार पास जाओगे तो रैगिंग कर देना, रैगिंग कर देंगे ऐसा कुछ लगता है. But then when the ice broke, and I found you guys the lovely seniors that you are. I got to interact with you guys later on, and you've been all of the the best memories that I can get from you guys was that this guidance from you guys. कि हाँ ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं कि the myth that हाँ सीनियर्स हैं तो रैगिंग करेंगे, सीनियर्स हैं तो डांटेंगे. It was not like that. So yeah, second year was like that adjusting to the environment where seniors are there. And yeah, third year was quite special because we got to interact with much more people. And yeah, obviously now we had become the penultimate year of college life.
Yes.
So obviously the college fest was there, the IAM and this Advaitam was there, so got to organize all these stuffs. So it was a lovely experience, and final year was all emotional, full of completing project. हाँ प्रोजेक्ट करना है, जॉब के लिए तैयारी करनी है, थर्ड ईयर के एंड में जॉब था, हुआ होगा कि नहीं होगा. So I think it all alone I can encapsulate this. NIT was like first half it was full of fear that हाँ यार कॉलेज में आए हैं, कुछ गंदा हो जाएगा, फिर क्या करेंगे. एंड द लास्ट 2 years was like fear of like letting go कि यार कॉलेज खत्म हो गया, इतना ही था कॉलेज. So it was like that. And yeah, all lovely memories. We are still in touch. Uh, like you, we are still in touch with our seniors,
Yes.
still in touch with our juniors. तो बहुत अच्छे दिन थे, and it was lovely experience. NIT Agartala will truly be a part of who I am right now.
Yes. So, were you ragged? Any ragging incidents that you had? Like,
I don't think so. I don't remember. Sometimes, yeah, you cannot call that ragging basically. It was like breaking the ice with the seniors. So they
yeah.
used to call us, and everybody started shivering. अरे भाई बुलाया है, जाके बात करो seniors से. And people are so afraid that they started cheating. हाँ वो senior तो rag कर रहे हैं, senior तो बुला रहे हैं. So it was a kind of a fear of like what to say, a fear that was created anthropologically. They created on their own, man-made fear. It was nothing fear. Seniors just wanted to talk, interact, just to get to know each other. It was nothing like that. That there was no animosity between us or you. So no, not I didn't have that kind of experience. And it was not like as if I was not racked, so I'll do it with my juniors. I didn't do that also. So it was just plain and simple interaction, nothing else.
Okay. Yeah. So recently, ICSE and CBSE results were declared, right? So I think you are from ICSE board and I'm from CBSE board.
Yeah.
But when we crossed our examination, and that plus the pressure was, I mean, different because COVID was 10 years ahead, and we just passed out. But that time also there were pressures among students because we have to crack JEE mains, maybe IIT also. So in those days, we did not find people or students taking that much pressure. But nowadays, after COVID, we are seeing students undergoing a lot of pressure, depression, and sometimes taking extreme steps like suicides and all. And this is increasing rapidly. So some people, I have read in news also, like some students, they, in fear of unknown, that without knowing the result, they committed suicide by thinking they might fail and all. So why do you think this pressure is building up? And what
I think
students should do so that this should not come up in their career?
I think naturally the thing is that there should be an intervention from the parents' side. That I can cite a very fine example. It's called, the movie is called Chichore. That the parents have to be there and they have to guide the thing, guide their son and daughter, that this is not the end of the world. If you are failing to crack an exam, this is not the end of the world. There is so many things, so many geniuses that are there, that if they don't get into IIT, does not mean that this is the end of the world. If you don't get to NIT, it's not the cusp of your life. That we both are from NITs, but hardly we now get recognized as NIT, and so only in our mutual circles we get recognized, or we get actually interact with the fellow NIT, and then it feels okay. But I think drastic, definitely it requires counseling, that yeah, that this is just an exam, you have to take it as a spirited manner, that हाँ बाकी एग्जाम दिया है, ये भी देंगे. हाँ, देर इज ऑलवेज एन एडेड अमाउंट ऑफ प्रेशर कि हाँ इसको अच्छे से देंगे तो एक अच्छा कॉलेज मिल जाएगा, एंड like that. But I want to highlight this point that parents or your seniors, especially if you interact with their seniors, those who have cracked, they can tell you, or the seniors that have been passed out of college, especially the IITians, those who have got jobs, they can tell you much more better way that IIT was a part of my life, but it was not life. And obviously the suicide prevention, this thing, I think many of the coaching institutes, especially this news comes out of Kota, where the competition is so high that people are taking these drastic steps. So first off, I think it will be, the major point would be counseling. Second step would be the increased interaction with the seniors. The third thing I notice amongst all the teenagers right now is that the thing is that they consider that if my friends get and if I don't get, then I'll be considered as a loser. If I'll be considered as the kind of person who's good for nothing. So this inferiority complex that needs to be dealt with right from the inception of preparing class 8, class 9. That देखो ये एग्जाम है, तुम एग्जाम देने के लिए तैयारी कर रहे हो, ना कि कुछ और. Because I have seen people, those who are not even not appearing for class 10 exam, be it ICSE or CBSE, they are taking such steps. And considering the ICSE part that you've taken, obviously the syllabus is much more higher on our side, especially coming from when I see the books of nowadays, when I'm teaching also, I compare these two, and especially I considered that there is an increased amount of syllabus. I don't know why this needs to be revamped, obviously, but this is an age-old syllabus that needs to be revamped. And especially when it considers the two aspects, that is CBSE and ICSE. I think CBSE is much more layered, much more relaxed in a point of view, but ICSE is to the point, to the extreme syllabus that is not required. In English, we still remember going through that Victorian era English. That's absolutely not required, and we've been studying it for past 4 years. I think that needs to be dealt with in a nicer manner.
Right. I follow one YouTuber or social media person called Sharmaji. He's a podcaster. Okay.
Yeah.
He does podcast on business and all. So recently I purchased his book. So this one actually. Okay. Build, Don't Talk. Okay. So what happened is, in this first chapter, he has written, in India, we as parents, not right now, we are not parents. I mean, our parents, or in general parents, when they ask their children, like, how much you got in English, they'll say, let's say 90. Then they'll ask how much you got in maths, they'll say, let's say 50. So then they'll put them on extra classes instead of celebrating that they got 90 in English. So we consider that only PCM or PCB to be the standard, and don't appreciate the kind of talent they show in other areas. Someone might be good in English, in literature, and someone might be in various other co-curricular activities. So that is not appreciated. So the entire overhaul of education system is what is required. That's what I believe in this aspect. Instead of checking the marks, we should also see other co-curricular activities, how it can be improved and so on.
Yeah, just to add on this, that I also follow Raj. This book I've been meaning meaning to purchase it. But what I get right now is that the parents, again, the counseling part, there is always a comparative analysis. A has got this much, अरे he's your friend, why are you not getting compared to A? जैसे हम बोलते हैं शर्मा जी का बेटे को तो इतना मिला, तुमको ऐसा क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है, उसको ऐसा खास क्या मिल रहा है, अरे तुम भी तो सेम स्कूल में जा रहे हो, सेम ट्यूशन में जा रहे हो, क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है. And right now what I feel is that recently a study came out. Okay, you are absolutely correct that PCV and PCM are being recognized. It's a very low, it's a very decade, or it's I think the lowest right now. Chosen stream is now commerce. It's going to get diminished. This is the concern that people are raising. कि सब लोग या तो science ले रहे हैं या arts ले रहे हैं. Long term vision it's all right, but there are people who I know that they might have commerce in their head, commerce as their passion they are trying to follow, but it's due to parental pressure or due to peer pressure they're choosing this path. But yeah, this is a very, very grave scenario right now, what our future generation is coming across. And we need to take steps, which I think NEP 2020 National Education Policy is a very good step in this regard. I think the vernacular languages and the kind of pressure that is being removed from the class 10 and exam. I think there is an exam on class 5, class 8. I think it will be a very it's going to be a game changer if it's properly implemented and properly been educated. People come into the picture and they can apply it and implement it in a nice manner.
Okay. So having said all this, do you think that there is a saturation point of engineers that has been reached in India? Because so many engineering colleges are out there, and that is causing the saturation point, and it has already been reached. And other areas now we should focus on, like international relation, translators, and many others.
I think, yeah, you've raised a very valid point, because I don't think personally, this is maybe a hot take, but personally I feel we have less quality colleges and we have more quantity colleges. Because if you ask any Tom, Dick and Harry in Kolkata, they'll be telling that I go to this engineering college, I go to this engineering college. But if you ask them what is the point of going to this engineering college, you neither have any campusing, neither have any facilities, neither have any good faculty. But these guys will tell you, no, but I have a BTech degree. But this is absolutely now, earlier the BTech degree meant something. That yeah, you were working towards it, you are working hard, you have to get to a very good entrance, and then you achieve that dream of, yeah, I'm an engineer and I have earned this degree. But right now, every street in Bangalore, there are private engineering colleges. My brother, actually, my younger sibling, he gave some entrance exams, and post that he was telling when I inquired about the fees, they're charging 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs for a degree that is like that could be earned in a much lesser this thing. And after that is after college is just a piece of paper. Kya kiya graduation mein? Haan, BTech degree kiya. That's enough. And yeah, the saturation point as far as that, there's an old saying. I think someone in front of Gopal Mugaria sir, our ex-director, somebody said it, कि हाँ, engineer पहले engineering करता है और फिर सोचता है कि हाँ क्या करना है. It is similar to that, Three Idiots. The man came with a photography dream, photography aspiration. I think we have similar in your batch also. If I will not name drop, but the person is there. He's also an engineer. So yeah, saturation point, obviously it is coming, and we need to focus on STEM. We are focusing on technology so much that we have forgotten that economics is also there. We also have certain other fields that needs to be explored. Yeah, translator, very nice. Yeah, we need people like that. I'll give you a small example. There is a post when I came to civil service aspirant journey that I'm still in. There is a post called stenographer. It's a very, very obsolete kind of a technology, but still they're paying such high amounts that even if there are posts in high court, in district courts, the posts go empty because nobody is interested to learn this. There is I don't know what is called a shorthand writing. Yeah, a shorthand writing. They are dictating words and you need to write it. 150 words per minute. They need to learn this machine, and they're paid handsomely, 40K a month. It's a government job. And you just have to be there with the person, and that's it. But there are so many vacant posts out there, but because people don't want to learn it, all running after medical and engineering, quality is absolutely degrading, and yeah, that's that.
Right. Now, we also discussed that nowadays students are taking drastic steps, right? So, do you think this has relation with the syllabus that we have in NCERT or ICSE based education? So, what can be done in that aspect? Because in NCERT right now, we are seeing in order to reduce the burden on children, the syllabus is being reduced to some extent, right? So, but this started during COVID also, because when exams could not happen physically, so that time half the syllabus was given as exam syllabus. Now, keeping up with the same tradition, now a lot of things are being excluded from the syllabus in order to reduce the burden on students and help them become, I mean, mentally free and open. So, how, up to what extent this is valid, and what should have been done instead of this? Any suggestions, if any?
Well, I partly agree with the decision that has been taken by our education minister or the Ministry of Education. But the thing is that reducing syllabus, I don't think it has any, effect on the kind of steps that are taken, because the pressure itself is so huge. I don't think excluding one or two chapters will have any effect. We have to think of a long term, holistic approach towards education, because rather than impulsive and short term fixes, I think there has to be a long term, a kind of a vision that is 10 years, 20 years ahead. And the thing that motivates children, as a child, if you tell them to learn one chapter, they'll learn it. They'll if you tell them to write two essays, they will write it. But over the course of time, if innovative steps are not taken, then there will be just a machine that will just mug up and write and read. And that's how the Indian system is going on. The Indian education system is going on. If I there's a huge hot take that I did on Twitter last month, and it was a step. I think it was IIT Kharagpur. They posted a very old picture of students drawing, engineering drawing. And I told that engineering drawing for certain engineering branches is okay, but what about electronics and engineering, electronics and electrocommunications engineering, computer science engineering? We don't require it. Where do we apply this plan and elevation? If you remember, we had to take this huge board and we had to travel so much ahead, because these are steps that have never been taken. Once the syllabus is made, it's just going on and on and on. Everybody is fine, nobody is doing anything. But these sort of things require certain attention from all sorts of angles. That why is the syllabus made during 1950s, is it still valid? The point that you raised, the kind of syllabus that has been reduced in NCERT, it was a huge controversy, that why is the heredity, or I think it was the evolution chapter or something of that sort, I think was removed. Periodic table was removed from class 9, it was moved to class 11. Well, I think in that case, I think, obviously the pandemic had a very huge impact. I think it will reduce the burden. But for me personally, I would feel that certain aspects of education system over a course of time has to be looked upon in detailed, because reducing just chapter is not going to. A simple example, I was listening to, I think, Vikram Sampath, the historian,
on the TRS, right? The Ranveer show might be.
He was saying that when India got partitioned, there were things that were happening. To be absolutely brutal about it, our nation got divided on the basis of religion. So if you are telling that I have got a Taj Mahal, and the builder of the Taj Mahal was a huge he brutally treated people, at that point of time it would have invoked riots. It would have invoked sort of crazy, chaotic phenomena would have risen. But right now, we are at that stage where we can look upon things, how it happened. Right now, there is a famous historian called Romila Thapar. She was the basic architect of NCERT, and she always says that Mughals were just the creators of India. They were the architect of Indian whatever it's there in Delhi, in Agra, whatever said and done. But if you look on the flip side, which were Vikram uses this line called, we are brushing muck under the carpet, and sooner or later this muck will smell. And if you look at the history books then and there, on the flip side, the Mughals did not only make these things, they were also brutally, there is always a gray area. We can't differentiate between white and black. So they were also destroyers. Bakhtiyar Khilji, a guy, he cites this example which I'm quoting him. Bakhtiyar Khilji destroyed the Nalanda University, right? He was an invader who came and destroyed that university. But can you imagine the station where he destroyed is named after him? It's called Bakhtiyarpur. I mean,
Right.
where on earth will you find this sort of examples? So for a long time we have been we have been avoiding this muck under the carpet, and it's time to just look in this dirty wardrobe, what's inside it, address it. Reducing chapters can obviously reduce the burden, but Indian education needs the revamp, which I'm again quoting the national education policy. India has to look that, yeah, these are the differences, these are the things that we have overlooked. Now it's time to look into it. I'm not saying that, I'm not quoting that, yeah, this is a political scenario, but this is a purely an opinion that is based out of evidences that are based out of upon my understanding.
Correct. So now, with the same point of view and same context, do you think the next decade, which is upcoming, right? So this is 2023. By 2030, is going to be the decade for India in terms of growth, in terms of educational changes, and many more things in the world. And how it will happen, in your point of view? Some instances, if you can provide as well.
Yeah, I think I am really positive. I'm really optimistic in this aspect that yes, this decade should be, if we can apply or we can implement whatever we have envisioned, I think this is going to be the decade for us. We are already, I think, the fourth largest economy right now. And we are moving ahead with a lot of progress that IMF or the World Economic Forum or whatever they are projecting. India is at a much, a steady pace that we are growing in, provided there are no hindrances. There should be political stability, number one, because we have seen the kind of political instability taking place at our neighbors. Pakistan is in a world of doom. Nobody in their history has completed 5 years, their president, their prime minister, and they are facing the worst economic crisis ever. So there has to be political stability. Secondly, the policies that are there, I think reforms always they are rebelled against. Human nature is that we don't behave properly with changes. If you are telling that tomorrow you need to lose weight and you need to hike 15 kilometers a day, people will be rebelling against it. So there should be certain stern measures to bring about reforms. Right, education, I think there was some agriculture reforms which was not drafted. There was politics. I'll not go into the details, but yeah, MSP should be introduced. So agriculture, we are an agrarian economy because we had to focus on agriculture, and then only our services is also, Indian softwares are right now booming. Our services sector, our entrepreneurs, our Startup India initiative, our women empowerment, our schemes that are there implemented, it's a very Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav that is being launched in order to recognize that, yeah, this is India, this is our culture, embrace it. Because a lot of people don't even know the real freedom fighters, what was their goal, what was their ideology. We are just celebrating, हाँ 26 को हमारा रिपब्लिक डे आता है, हाँ झंडा फहराते हैं, हो गया, 15 को हमारा इंडिपेंडेंस डे है, हो जाए. But nobody goes into the details. So these are things that we need to embrace as a nation. As a future generation, we must be feeling proud that as Indians we need to do this. So these are things that we need to inculcate within ourselves, rather than going across as NRIs that India is still lacking behind. We have to find out innovative solutions. Like AI is coming right now. AI is absolutely in the forefront. I think Bard is there, ChatGPT is there. As indigenous people, indigenous technology, we must inculcate these features in our this thing also. I don't know how much Coup has successfully come up, but I think it was a great initiative, because replacing Twitter with Coup, I think it was a great initiative. I don't think it was that much successful.
Yeah, but, so I was listening another podcast by Nikhil Sampath, the founder.
Okay.
So where co-founder also joined, right? So he's saying right now in India that much it has not garnered response, but in Brazil right now it's the number one social media. and so
Yeah,
on.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so these things really motivate our innovators, especially when earlier there was not a culture of startup, but ever since the main platform of Shark Tank came about, and the kind of judges that we have, especially Ashneer, who was, people were, garnering fame just because of, the kind of investment they did. But Ashneer spoke in such a common lingo that even a street vendor could understand कि हाँ ऐसा चलता है investment, and they are just so these things should be looked upon into. There are various aspects that our policymakers should come up with, but at the forefront there should be speedy executive measures also, because democracy, after all, there are four pillars: legislature, executive, judiciary, and media. So all these four pillars, if they work in tandem, definitely we'll see a much better growth, a much faster growth, and a much exponential growth that we're looking forward to.
Right. Now, coming out of all these heavy talks, how's your exam in civil service, which went recently, without not going into good or bad? I mean, the curriculum wise, structure wise, how it was, if you can.
Yeah, so this was the first attempt. So as crudely if I put it, virginity टूट गया, अभी सिविल सर्विसेज का वर्जिनिटी छूट गया. तो it felt nice overall. The experience was nice, but my experience in terms of my performance is below par, so I need to work on it. But definitely I gave UPSC this time, and the state civil services was comparatively much better, but it was not up to my performance. The UPSC, if you are following on Twitter, I think the result is on 13th June, and the kind of bashing they got, because the syllabus mentioned that up to class 10 there are two papers. Okay, the first paper is of GS, that is general science, history, geography, etc., XYZ, or I'll not go into the details. And the second paper is qualifying, and it consists of English comprehension and maths. The maths is strictly mentioned that is of the level of class 10. They gave questions that are coming in IIT JEE advanced. First there is mains, and if you qualify that, you get to advance, where NITs and IITs counseling takes place. They gave those sort of and there was a bawal of such nature that what do you expect? Only IITs to come into civil services? Arts ka kya hoga, commerce ka hai hoga? And it was a huge bawal. So yeah, right now it was not up to the mark, but first attempt, it was overall a nice experience, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah.
Right. So, like, whether UPSC has given any notification saying like, okay, I understand your points or anything like that?
I think there was a case made against them that you need, I think, 33% to qualify CSAT. That is the name of the second paper, and the case was that to reduce from 33% to 23%. I don't think UPSC has responded. Quite naturally, they are saying that no. We are on our decision कि जो question paper है उसको ही आपको solve करना पड़ेगा. But and the kind of question that it was, right? There are 4 options been given: X, Y, Z, D, A, B, C, D. If I tell you, and the options were only A is correct. Sorry, only 1 is correct. Only 2 is correct. Only 3 is correct, and none of this. So imagine the guy who has studied. He will be also thinking कि यार मैं गलत नहीं हूँ, इसमें एक कैसे करेक्ट होगा, 2 कैसे करेक्ट होगा. सो पीपल आर गोइंग इनटू डुअलिटी कि हाँ ये मार्क करना है कि नहीं. सो दैट इज अ बिगेस्ट पॉइंट दैट सीरियस कैंडिडेट्स विल नॉट गेट सिलेक्टेड दिस टाइम, बिकॉज देयर वाज अ काइंड ऑफ duality in their mindset कि हाँ ये करेक्ट होगा कि नहीं. So they were in 2 minds. Many of the people were in those category, and second people who will qualify will be the kind of people like, I think there was a guy called Jeet in Student of the Year, and he was like Jai Mata Di A, Jai Mata Di B. So these people will also qualify because they don't know X, they don't know even the slightest regarding this matter, but they will just qualify just because of the sake of Tukka. So plain and simple like that. So yeah, it was a huge kind of mishap that took place. I hope next year paper would be much more decent. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you started this entire preparation in 2020, right? So during that time, only one series came.
No, it was 2021. It was 2021.
Okay. So during that time, only one series came called as the Aspirants by TVF.
Yeah.
So how much do you think that is relevant to current scenario for aspirants?
I think the part where obviously there was a bit of drama and glamorization that took place. They showed the part where there are friendships, there are relationships, And that part was absolutely correct. The journey part was absolutely correct. But the thing is that you can't basically, the major part was that how did he prepare after leaving the job? They didn't show that only.
Yes,
Because Abhilash quits his job and he comes back, he has 2 attempts, and they did not show that part, because the sculpting of the civil service aspirant happens in the way he prepares. He writes his notes, he takes guidance from his teachers and all that thing. But yeah, the rest of the part was quite apt, because there are people around me who behave the same way. They don't reveal that they have reservations. They come and they mingle around, हाँ भाई तेरा तो नहीं हुआ. And when later on I find कि हाँ इसका तो हो गया. It was just like Rancho, and I was feeling like Sharman Joshi and Madhavan कि हाँ दोस्त का नहीं होता तो बुरा लगता है, लेकिन दोस्त जब फर्स्ट आ जाता है तो और ज्यादा बुरा लगता है. It's kind of like that.
Really cool. Understood. So, okay. So one last question before we wrap up. So given a chance, something that you would like to edit in your career by going into time, back in time, what would that be?
Okay. Now there are two answers. One could be the एकदम ideal answer कि नहीं मैं तो जिंदगी में कुछ बदलने वाला हूँ, क्योंकि जितना भी स्टीव जॉब्स ने बताया था, what you look behind, you see the dots connecting, आज मैं इधर हूँ. There could be an ideal answer like that.
Like Steve Jobs said here, no? Think different and the answer different.
Yeah. So yeah, the kind of thing that I am in the phase right now, I was in class 11, 12, just like you, and we had this the pressure cooker situation. We also had similar कि हाँ भाई calculus भी करना है, integration भी करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. And we got into college, and I think life took a drastic turn कि मेरे को लगा कि हो जाएगा. People were saying कि पहले 11, 12 कर लो, फिर हो जाएगा. College कर लो, हो जाएगा. Job कर लो, मजा ही मजा. And I'm still looking for that mountain where this thing stops. It's never like that. So somebody told me कि हाँ यार ये हो जाएगा, कब खत्म होगा, ये तो आ ही नहीं रहा है, आज ये कर लो वो कर लो. So I wish I could have unheard this statement कि life is always a journey and you have to keep on learning and you have to keep on growing. There is no end to it. And yeah, and another thing about my current situation, I'd like to say कि यार जॉब कर लिया था, लेकिन और ज्यादा अच्छे से वो संभल के करने, आई थिंक आई शुड हैव एडेड दैट काइंड ऑफ क्लैरिटी कि हाँ कॉर्पोरेट में ऐसा होता है, ऐसा ही करना पड़ता है, एंड जॉब लाइफ सेटिस्फेक्शन और पहले आ जाता था. तो हालांकि बॉन्ड था, बट आई वुड हैव पेड द मनी एंड आई वुड हैव गॉटन आउट so that I could have started this journey earlier.
A little bit earlier.
Yeah. Because all I see around me are 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds. So it hits you psychologically. यार ये बंदे तो अभी अभी निकले हैं, and I am like this old veteran over here, and when I talk with them, they have much more higher knowledge in the exam point of view. Yeah, so definitely I would have liked to begin a bit early.
Right. Yeah. So thank you, Dimitra, for all the discussion that we had and great insights there, actually. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the
so much.
discussion.
Yeah, it was lovely talking to you after so many days, and thank you for having me. It was a brilliant conversation talking to you as well, and thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you.